North America, Venezuela has reauthorized U.S. deportation flights for Venezuelan migrants only days after suspending them in response to President Donald Trump's demand that Venezuelan airspace be classified as closed. The earlier suspension briefly halted the repatriation of Venezuelans being removed from the United States. According to Venezuela's Ministry of Transportation, the U.S. formally requested that flights resume, leading President Nicolas Maduro to approve the reinstatement. The decision marks a temporary stabilization in migration coordination between these two countries despite ongoing political tension. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Raymond Vickery. He's an international affairs expert, joins us live from Washington, D.C. as a former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce. Thank you very much, Raymond, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, how are we to see this fluctuating, these tensions between Venezuela as it closed the airspace and then it opened again? And is it only for the deportation flights?
Well, thanks very much for having me. It seems to me that this is a piece of the president's approach to Latin America, that he has an authority, that President Trump has the authority really to decide for other sovereign nations who are in what he would view as his sphere of influence, to decide for them what their actions are. And of course, he's moved into the Caribbean, an aircraft carrier and other military assets. He's blowing up boats. And the latest type of pressure on Venezuela was to say the airspace was closed. It seems to me that Maduro has very wisely or craftily decided that the thing which really is ingratiating to President Trump is to do something for him on immigration. Immigration seems to be the fallback issue for President Trump. It's one that excites his base. And so Maduro has said, yes, we'll take back some of these immigrants to the United States. It's really not any skin off Maduro's nose to do so. And in his view, it placates Trump. And evidently, that has worked to some degree. You haven't heard any more about shutting down the airspace. But it is only a temporary measure. The basic problem is the Trump attitude of the 19th century in terms of empire. The reflex action, for the 19th century in regard to Central and South America for the United States was, if there's something wrong, send in the Marines. We got away from that for the past 80 years. We've taken a different approach. Rather than empire, one of cooperation. Jimmy Carter, President Carter, of course, dealing on the return of the Panama Canal to the Panamanians, and working in a multilateral way. At this point, that's not the approach of President Trump.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Raymond Vickery for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, moving on, we stay on the same topic. A U.S. Navy double-tap strike on a suspected Venezuelan drug boat is drawing intense scrutiny after reports that 2 survivors of the first blast were killed in the second. The White House says the Navy acted within legal authority, but lawmakers from both parties are demanding a full review. More than 80 people have been killed in similar maritime strikes since early September, yet U.S. officials have released little evidence providing drug trafficking activity on the targeted vessels. Congressional committees in both chambers have launched investigations into the legality of the operations and the rules under which commanders are permitted to act. Legal experts warn the second strike could violate international humanitarian law if survivors were incapacitated and no longer a threat. Meanwhile, Venezuela has condemned the attacks, accusing Washington of raising regional tensions. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Mr. Raymond Vickery. He's an international affairs expert and also former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Commerce. Joins us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Mr. Raymond, for staying with us. Now looking at this, what are we to believe about this ongoing alleged ships, drug-containing ships, and what political consequences could this double tap strike have for U.S.-Venezuela relations, which already seem to be in shambles?
Well, thanks again for allowing me to comment on this. This approach of blowing boats out of the water and killing people is contrary to any rule of law. You can't have a situation in which the Trump administration acts as a prosecutor, judge, jury, and executioner. In order to wage peace, you have to have a strategy, you have to have partners, and you have to operate within principles. None of this is applicable to the President Trump approach to Venezuela and what he is doing. The latest approach is clearly contrary to international law as well as U.S. law. The second strike situation is even more egregious.
Right. Thank you very much, Raymond Vickery, for joining us and sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now moving to our next news.